everybody? We are back. It is Tipped on Life's Favorites podcast, favorites channel, favorites everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also, follow us on Twitter at the NFL for me, at mholden95 for Matt, and of course, pandasubs.com. 25% off for all your great Raiders needs. All right. So
Raiders needs.
Raiders needs. Yeah. Well, he's a Raiders fan, so it makes sense a little bit, I guess.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. So we're out here, man. Me and Matt are back. We're gonna talk some free agency today. Not a lot of action, but I mean, there's a lot of non-actions, players being let go. So we do have a good amount to talk about, and then we'll take some of your guys' questions here. And Matt might have to jump out if we get a signing mid-show. So just know that. Yeah. If we get a signing mid-show that we need to talk about, then Matt is gonna have to dip out. He has to be talking to me. So just be aware of that. I just want to let you guys know that before the show gets started here. So Matt, how are you feeling about free agency so far?
I'll be honest, a little disappointed. I mean, I know there were most of the in-house guys that ended up leaving ended up getting some fat contracts. I understand that. I think we talked about it. Trevon Merrick was the guy I really wanted to see come back. I mean, what do you get? $17 million a year. I get it. That's a lot of money. That's pretty damn expensive. And replacing him with Jeremy Chinn at what was it? $8 million. I got it up here. $8 million some change. So less than or even more than half the contract. I get it from the financial standpoint. But from what it is on the field, I definitely think they're downgrading. I mean, I don't know. Landon Roberts, I guess, is the solution at linebacker right now, but I don't know what the hell they're going to do at this stage. Luckily, this is like a deep linebacker class in the draft, but obviously lose both starters from last season, and someone's got to step up, whether it be Eichenberg or Amari Burney or Amari Gainer from the preseason last year. But yeah, been a little disappointing. Just not too much going on. Again, market's kind of exploded, so I get it. The money that's getting floated out there is substantial for a lot of guys that are kind of good at best type players, I guess, if you will. Good starters and whatnot. But yeah, definitely my biggest takeaway is I don't know what the hell's going to happen on defense right now, because they are missing quite a few key players from a year ago that were starters for them again.
Yeah, it is super interesting how they're moving here. They're not really spending big money on anybody. You know what I mean? Like no. It's not like they're letting Trey Moore go, letting Spillane go, and like they let Spillane go and they get a guy for $3 million, and they let Moore go and they get a guy for $8 million. So like just basically $9 million less than where the other guy signed every single time. So
let Hobbs go and sign Stokes for $4 million, so $8 million. Yeah, I guess that's their sweet spot. They're looking for $8 to $9 million discounts.
Or something, man. It's super interesting how they're moving with this. What they're doing is just, it feels like, I tweeted this out. I just feel like we're about to get like the Seattle rebuild. You know what I mean? I made a joke about the Legion of Boom, and I'm not saying they're going to build the Legion of Boom or anything like that, but they're going to be building through defensively heavily through the draft. That's what I feel like. If you, because even like with free agency and the draft, to me, I feel like they're just mostly defense, because I started watching defense. And I got more excited about the draft. So that's what I was, I was a little bored on the offensive side. I'm not gonna lie to you, Matt. I was a little bored. The running backs are really good, but the wide receivers and the quarterbacks have just been a little boring. And I started watching these corners, and I got really intrigued, and I watched like 6 in a day. So that tells me that the difference between how I'm feeling about it, or even watching a defensive end or defense tackles in this draft, it just feels a lot different. So I don't know. I feel like that's what they're looking at, and they didn't want to overpay for some of these free agents that are out here right now.
Yeah, it's just interesting strategy for me, because obviously I feel like every coach that gets a new job is like, oh yeah, we're all in. We're going for it in year one, just to almost rah the fan base. Because I think if any introductory press conference started with, yeah, we're going to rebuild, but it's going to be bad for a few years, I think they would probably lose the job on the spot. So I get that, and like I get the coach speak angle of it, but then like going out and getting Geno Smith is like, oh, maybe they are really going after it. And then the last couple of days, like they just let a lot of their key defensive players go. And if they are going to build through the draft, like I can get on board with that. But you are going to have to assume that there's going to be a few lumps and bruises when you're relying on so many rookies at key spots. So that was just kind of the interesting thing. Like talk about being all in, and then go out and get, an older quarterback to signify that they're all in.
Mhm.
But they don't like re-sign any of their, I mean, I guess Malcolm Kuntz they did bring back, and Adam Butler, but any of their real big ticket free agents from last year. That was just kind of an interesting strategy for me. Not hating on it or anything like that. Again, I get the money. Like one guy we haven't even talked about yet is Nate Hobbs getting $12 million from the Packers. So
Yeah.
So again, a lot of cash being handed out that it makes sense from that standpoint. It just doesn't make sense with if you're going to go after it all and be all in, like you said you are.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's it's one of those things to me. Like, I mean, Eric Stokes, I don't even feel like a Nate Hobbs replacement. I mean, he still has to replace Nate Hobbs, but you could do that at 6 with Will Johnson or Johnny Barrett. You know what I mean? Like that's how I looked at it. Like, okay, you let Nate Hobbs go, then you must have an idea of what exactly you are planning to do in the draft. I mean, letting Robert Spillane go and then bringing in Landon Roberts. I mean, I feel like they're almost the same player, kind of. A little bit different. I mean, you probably speak more to that, Matt. We'll get into those guys in a second, but like, I don't know. It just kind of felt like they are bringing in like spot starters. Like, there's none of these guys got big deals. I mean, Jeremy Chinn only got 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So he only got 2 years. I mean, Adam Butler, I mean, he was already here though. Kuntz only got 1 year. They signed Landon Roberts for 1 year, $3 million. You know what I mean? Yeah, Eric Stokes is 1 year, $4 million. These are 1 year signings on defense. These aren't like huge investments. That's what it felt like too. They weren't going to try to get some guy for like a 5 year, something like that, or a 4 year, or anything like that. So that's why I feel like they really are thinking about the draft.
Yeah, they got a lot of placeholders. I mean, Jeremy Chinn, like you said, got the biggest contract of them all. And he's under contract for 2 years. He got the Marcus Epps contract, basically. That's what I mean. That's I guess Epps was closer to like 5 or 6 a year or something like that.
Yeah,
but I mean, Chinn's at 8.8 and change with the cap going up. It's probably about the same cap percentage. You know what I mean? Like it's the same kind of type of structure of like you're only really committing to this guy for 2 years. So that tells you right off the back that he's not a part of your long-term plan. So I do feel like, and maybe it's getting into it too much, the way they've approached the whole free agency and like the last few days, trading for Geno Smith, again, not doing much on defense in the draft and a very defensive heavy not doing much in free agency defensively with a defensive heavy draft. I feel like I would not be surprised if they end up trading out of 6 and collecting more picks, if that's the route they go. Kind of what you're talking about, because, I mean, we're sitting here, we want to get into the needs. Like, they could use a safety. I mean, I've talked about it in the past. If you trade back, get a Malachi Starks or something like that, they could use that free safety type of player. That would kind of make sense. And then 2, like if you say you trade back, you get like an extra 3rd round pick. Well, there's the Geno Smith conversation that comes out to a wash, basically. So I don't know. That's just kind of the gut feeling I've gotten in the first 2 days of like, oh yeah, they may be gearing up for the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gearing up to take advantage of where I think the strength of this draft class is, and like what a lot of people have talked, which is that like 20 to 60 pick range. You know what I'm talking about? Where like you get like not great players, but good players that you can be foundation for you. So
yeah, I mean, you're right about trading back. I mean, because you got to think about it. Even if they go to the 2nd round, right, and they trade back in the 2nd round, you get more picks for like the 3rd round or something like that, or kind of get those 3rd round picks back, some extra picks like that. I mean, that's when you can feel like if they have these defensive holes, then maybe they could like throw a running back in there. Because like at this point, it's like, man, if they have all these defensive holes, it's going to be defense, running back, defense. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's going to be a full on rebuild through there. So it kind of changes how I look at the draft too. So like where do you fit a quarterback in here if you have these holes on defense? Like where do you do those type of things? I mean, maybe that's why they trade for Geno Smith, because they're like, we're not going to try to. We got bigger holes in this team than defense, and we got to get younger at certain spots. So and we don't know how they feel about Jack Jones, or Ja'Cory Bennett either. So I don't know. It's all weird. So it is a little weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, the fact they didn't make a strong push for a guy like Byron Murphy tells me that they might feel decently good about both those two guys, about Ja'Cory Bennett and about Jack Jones. I mean, the fact they haven't gotten after any of these corners, I don't even feel like they've been tied to many of them. That even a guy like Christian Fulton, who signed for like 2 years, $20 million with I think Kansas City, if I remember correctly, like they were in on him. Like I feel like they maybe have a little more confidence in the corners than we realize. Again, maybe you address that in the draft, but it definitely seems like they have more confidence in the guys in place at that spot than I was expecting, because I was expecting them to make a harder push for a guy like DJ Reed, who I forget what he signed for, but it wasn't like it was a decent deal if I remember.
Yeah, 16. I think 16 million.
16. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, somebody said they went after Murphy, but didn't he got 20 million, didn't he?
He got like 22. Yeah, I think he got paid. Yeah, he got a good contract.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, nope, we don't go more than 10 here with the Raiders. We'll give you 10 mil, Byron. I don't know, man. It is interesting because somebody on Twitter asked me like, what are they saving this cap space for? And I'm like, maybe the next year's free agent class. I don't know.
Maybe. Roll it over. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it was interesting. All right, so let's talk about some of the guys they lost first, and then we'll get into the questions here. So they lost who did they lose? Nate Hobbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Robert Spillane and Trayvon Moreg. I did see a question on here about that. So, in your opinion, were Moreg and Spillane overpaid by their new team? So, what do we think about them? Their signings with new teams and the loss for the Raiders.
I mean, I think with Spillane, I think probably on the richer end of what we were expecting. I think both the two of us expected him to get around like 10 to 12, and he ended up getting 12 and a half. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes sense. Merritt got more money than I think I would have anticipated. I thought he was going to be around 15, so it's not a gross overpay. But I kind of expected him to get paid. And then Hobbs was the one that was really surprising me. Yeah. Not only because of the $12 million a year, which is going to make him like the highest paid nickel in the league, or up there at least. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they gave him 4 years. I mean, who knows what the real money looks like? They gave Josh Jacobs a 4 year. The Packers gave Josh Jacobs a 4-year contract that really, if they wanted to, obviously they're not going to. They could cut bait after 1 year. Yeah. So it wouldn't be surprising if it's something like that. More just because of Nate Hobbs' injury history. Like the dude's missed a ton of games in the last 4 years. Whereas when he's on the field, he's fine. He's a great player. But I was surprised that they committed that much money over 4 years to a guy that's been banged up. I don't know what the guaranteed money is looks like, but I mean, what do you get? 12 a year? Yeah, that was the one that was really, really surprising me. I'm like, yeah, that one makes a ton of sense. And then Merrick was expensive too, but I had a feeling that was going to be, he's going to shock some people with the amount he was going to get, especially after the cap went up.
Yeah. Him getting that 17 was really high. So for him, I didn't think he got overpaid. I just think he just was the top guy in the market. That's what I think it was. He's the top safety in the market, and he made the market for himself. Because I think he got more than Baker money.
Yeah, he got more than Holland, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit more than Holland. So that was a little surprising. Just like Holland, I felt like was a bigger name, and we found out how much the league really values Trevon. Good. Yeah, so
Nate Hobbs got $16 million guaranteed. So because the Packers don't do guarantees after the first year.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So they give you a cool contract. That's why Devontae didn't like it over there.
Yeah, gotcha. So it's a 1 year. It's a 1 1/4 year deal, or 1 1/3 year deal.
I mean, it's not a bad way to do. They win with that, so I don't know. I feel like maybe that's not a bad way to do contracts. I mean, they win with it, but they get the most out of it. They get most out of those players on that 1 year stay. You only get 16 million of it though, so you better work.
Better get to it. Yeah,
you better win. I don't know, but yeah. So those guys left. I thought Spillane. I mean, he's so up and down, man. That's my thing. Like if Spillane was more consistent, then I would feel bad about it. I think a lot of Raiders fans really like him, but it's just it's like he'd have a great run game, and the next game for some reason he's not taking on guards, and
Yeah.
then it was weird watching him. So I think he can be replaced, and maybe a Landon Roberts can kind of maybe do the same thing he can do, but I always thought he could be replaced by somebody, so I wasn't that bad about it. Moreg, that one I just don't. When a player you feel like he's that good and you feel like he's going to get 17 million on the market and he's your player, I just don't think you should let him go. That was my thought process on it, right? Like he's not, and I know he's not their pick or
Their
whatever
guy.
you want to call it. Yeah, their guy. Yeah. But it still felt like if the league was that high on him, then maybe we shouldn't let this guy get out the building. That was probably the one that just didn't make any sense to me. Wasn't like for sure they'd bring back Hobbs either, but when you saw Hobbs get 12 million, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, go get your money, Nate. But yeah, the Morag one is the weird one. People are saying that he didn't want to stay. That he didn't want to stay. So I mean, that could have been a part of it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure if they threw him $19 million, it's like Myles Garrett wanted to be traded.
Side note, I don't know if you saw this, but it was like a Google Translate, like of like English to like Myles Garrett, like change of heart, and it was like, holy fuck, that's a lot of money. I was dying when I saw it on Twitter. That is the ultimate finesse move. The whole goodbye. I want to win. I want to win a Super Bowl. Wait, 30 million guarantee or 30 million per year? Hold up.
Oh man, he got that bag. For sure. So that's what I'm saying. So if they gave Trayvon Moreg 19 million, he's gonna be all right, man. All right, this is cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it was just they weren't willing to go that high of money. They just like, we can get Jeremy Chinn for $8 million. And so
I feel like kind of what you touched on too. Like these aren't their guys. Like we've seen this a lot with the Raiders. Where like, and I think you can look at it around the league when there's a shift in, especially at GM, like they're not gonna pay big money to keep the in-house free agents usually, because think about it, like what besides first round busts, what do GMs get the most slack for? Overpaying for a guy that underproduces. And at the very least, if you're going to do that with your guy, if you're going to hand a guy a fat check, what you're going to look for or what you're going to want to do is a guy that you've already been betting on. You know what I mean? Like a guy that you believe that you brought in and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of get it from that perspective too, of like, John Spytek, he's like, I don't have any attachment to these guys. Like I didn't draft them. You know what I mean? Like these aren't my guys, like you said. So I'm not going to hand them these fat checks. I will take my chances and with my draft history and go that route and play the long game a little bit. So I think that definitely, like you said, is at play. With Spillane too, like his age had to be a factor because, like you said, like there were some like limitations with him, and like obviously we know like much better run defender than in coverage. I do think he was underrated in coverage, but I'm not going to sit here and pound the table and say he was anything spectacular in coverage or anything like that. But I do feel like with him turning 30 by the end of next season and getting the contract that he did, and on top of not being one of Spytek, one of this new regime's guys, like it was easy to be like, all right, man, see ya. Yeah. Appreciate everything you did.
Exactly. So these are the type of moves they're making right now, man. Anthony wants to see the tape. He's like, why are you guys talking today? Where's the tape? As Anthony said. You gotta give some time, Anthony. Can I get some offense yet? I haven't got any offensive guys yet.
I know. You got Alex Kappa, man. What are you talking about?
I mean, I guess if that's what I have to do, if they don't, I'm hoping they add some veterans here. I think they're going to do that. I feel like they're going to add a big veteran wide receiver for some reason. I don't know why. I mean,
who's left at this point?
I don't know, like the Amari Coopers, the Keenan Allens.
Bring Amari Cooper back. I always love me some Amari Cooper, man.
I mean, he can get open still. You know what I mean? I don't know how much. I don't know how washed Keenan Allen is. I have to watch his film. People talking about Cooper Kupp. So, I don't know. That's what I hope they're going to do that, just because I have some material too, but also because I just think they need some veterans on that side of the ball. If they're going to go young on defense, I want the offense to be like Geno Smith, some veterans, you know what I mean, around like Brock Bowers and some of the younger guys, and have the young offensive line and build through that. So
Tyler Lockett's still out there.
Yeah, man, I know. All right, let's get to a couple of the signings, right? So there's only really one big one that I thought. I mean, they re-signed Malcolm Kuntz and Adam Butler, which I Kuhn's got a nice little payday, 12 million. So that's pretty good. But you want to see him come back healthy, and I think he's going to do well when he does. Because I just think he kind of took the next step in 2023, and I think he's just ready to take another step. But he got hurt, so we'll see. It might take a little bit of a while, but Adam Butler got paid for the first time in his career.
Yeah,
shout out Adam Butler. He's usually a 1 year, $2 million guy. He just every single year he signed up for a year. He finally got some commitment to him. He had 10 sacks the last couple of years, so he did really well. But what are your thoughts on some of the signings? I mean, you just got Jeremy Chinn. I'm not gonna act like I'm a Jeremy Chinn expert.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to break down the film of that, Matt. But what do you think of Jeremy Chinn?
Yeah, so I actually just got done watching a couple of his games. Like I said, definitely not as talent-wise, not as good as Trevon Merrick. I think one of the biggest differences is I know Chinn like tested through the roof at the combine when he was going through it, but it doesn't quite show up on film. Not to say that he's like a bad athlete, but I'm like, if I just showed you his film, you wouldn't be that's a 9.99 or whatever it was RAS guy. Like he's not like that twitchy and not that like fast. Like I don't know. It's weird because he does have the skill set where like he can be versatile, but he's not that great of a free safety. Like I don't think he has great like range and speed. Like there are a few plays that I was watching where I'm like, yeah, that's not where I'd put you very often. And I mean, he is like 6'3", 210, so that would be a massive free safety. Yeah. So I don't think you can rely on him to play that role that much. Whereas like Trevon Merrick could do that and come line up and play in the box. To me, Chinn is more of the box safety, more of your strong safety. That's it where he lives the best. And he's pretty good in man coverage against like tight ends, again, where he can use his size to his advantage and whatnot. And he's pretty good at using his hands and staying in phase with those guys. But when he covers the slot, he's covering tight ends, I'd say not 8 to 9 times out of 10. When you put him on a wide receiver, that's again where it's like, this is not the testing doesn't match the film, where he just kind of like will give up separation against those guys. So against the quicker guys. So kind of a long story short is I think you play him more in the box more so than anything else.
Yeah.
Because he can contribute against the run too. That's the one thing. Like he'll come up and make tackles, pretty good open field tackler. But I just think, especially athletically, he's not quite what you'd be hoping for from your free safety and from your typical slot corner, even though he's played quite a bit of slot. So he's done it all. But I think where he could be making his money and where he's going to be at his best is playing in the box and covering tight ends.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So like you kind of bring him in. That's what I thought about Jeremy Chinn too. Jeremy Chinn, I think what he does is like sometimes he makes plays. Like he's one of those guys that like you hear his name for like making plays. Like he made some big interceptions for Washington down at the end of the year, and his name comes up. But he is a consistent player. So I mean, we know what he does well, right? And we know what he doesn't do well. So since it's just all there on film, and that's why he's on his like third football team, I think, at this point, right? He's Panthers, and then he went Commanders, and now he's on the Raiders for the next couple of years. So I think that with that signing is definitely just kind of more of a box guy, and we're going to see what they do in the draft to try to get a free safety. But that's what I'm saying. Like when you get rid of Morig, and it looks like they're not bringing back Epps, right? I mean, Epps, I guess you got Palomar there, right? I forgot about Palomar.
Yeah, they get Palomar a new deal,
but he's more of a box guy. Am I right? Like he's not.
He's weird because he's 6'4" and 205, which is rail thin. Yeah. So like his best plays are kind of come at free safety. I mean, I don't know. Okay. He's been a hard guy for me to pin down over the years because I see both ends of it, but he's not like a guy that is going to be great against the run because he's so slender.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean that is the one takeaway. The Raiders have some massive safeties between him and Chinn. They got some size back there at the very least.
Yeah, because maybe that's the what they're thinking. I mean, because they signed Palomar. You say that we talk about they're going cheap. They signed Palomar really early. Like you mean, like he got like $4 million, maybe 2 years, $8 million. He got
3.75 a year, and I think it was like 2 years, something like that. So, but it's one of those contracts that like can escalate up with a lot of incentives. If I remember correctly, like there's not a ton of guaranteed money, but he can make like up to 11. I want to say something like that. Let's see, 2 years, 7.45 mil, additional 1 million in incentive. Yeah. So yeah, he can get. There's like a bunch of other incentives and like roster bonuses and stuff like that in his contract where he can get a nice pay bump.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens with the free safety position, but I do think they're gonna target safety in the draft. I mean, they on the draft visits they talked to like 6 of them, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that is something that they're keying on, right? I mean, like Sebastian Castro, Malachi Starks, Malachi Moore, all those guys. They looked at all those safeties, so I think all those guys could be an option. I mean, especially if they trade back, it could be Malachi Starks, could be Xavier Watts, who they brought in too. Xavier Watts could be him. So it could be any of those guys they look at in the first round if they do end up trading back. So it would be interesting to see what they do at the safety position. And then the other guy was Elandon Roberts and Eric Stokes. I mean, Roberts is basically he just hits really hard. I know
he's good at what he does, which is going straight and downhill. Ask him to do anything more other than that, and it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be some tough luck. So, like again, when we talk about like him versus Spillane, like he might be a better run defender. He's been more productive, and I mean, I think graded out higher in PFF. I think had him as like the second highest.
Yeah, he's elite. He had elite grade.
Yeah, elite grade. Yeah, something like ridiculously off the charts. And so between him and Spillane, like he's better at what they're best at, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But like I was talking about with Spillane, like Spillane's not a great athlete and whatnot, but I did think like he did some good things, like playing, just sitting in the middle hook and sitting in the middle of the field and reading quarterback's eyes. Like he had some decent ball production in his 2 years over the Raiders. Whereas with what I understand with Roberts, like he is legit liability. Like he is legit, like you got to get him off the field on third down type of guy. Like he is an old school Brandon Spikes, if you will, 2-down linebacker where you don't want him anywhere near the field on third down, from what I understand. So I think as far as you measure those two guys up, Roberts has of their strengths, Roberts is better, but of the weaknesses, Spillane's kind of got the edge where you can kind of level it out a little bit.
But, yeah, I guess that was a little bit of my issue with the two. I mean, they're kind of the same player a little bit, but I mean, Roberts can come in and fill in like. I would say it's like a more of a depth piece linebacker, because I mean he didn't play full-time linebacker with the Steelers, right? He wasn't the starter. He was kind of was a fill-in 2-down linebacker. Like I don't know what I think their plan is to be playing him 3 downs like they did Spillane. You know what I mean? Like I hope not.
Yeah,
I think Pete Carroll's a little smarter than that. So especially defensively. So I don't see him playing like every single down either. So that's why I think they're going to keep trying to fill in for that position too. So.
Yeah.
Walker, bro. It's at 6, man.
Maybe put him on the edge, put him at linebacker. No, I mean, I've been pounding the table for him for a while. I did a breakdown before the Senior Bowl. Jeff Bossa, I think, is a great play, especially with Divine Diablo heading to Atlanta. Like I said, Bossa to me is what everything the Raiders were hoping for. They were getting in Divine Diablo, and that athletic dude who can cover, may not be the greatest run defender right away, but what like has the technique, has the skill set and mindset and all that stuff to be able to grow. Granted, Diablo ended up being the opposite of that, where he was bad in coverage and actually decent against the run. But I think the idea that they had, or that Mike Mayock and John Gruden had with Divine Diablo, I think is what Jeff Bossa is.
Okay. All right. So we'll get more into that when we get back to the draft after this week, because free agency has been pretty boring. I even see the guys that get signed. I'm like, who are you? Really? Anyways,
how much?
Like, whoa, wow. Okay, like Javon Kinlaw got paid. I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like he was a 1-year deal guy from here on out, and he got just the bag. I was like, what?
By did Washington sign?
Yeah, I think it was Washington. Yeah, I was like, really? Like, he's a 1-year guy at this point. Like you give him a little 1-year deals. He's a journeyman. He's a journeyman defensive tackle. Like, this dude got how much? Yeah, somebody else got some big money too. I was like, what the? I was like, wow.
Banks from San Francisco, the guard. Yeah, he got paid off too.
Is he good? Like,
he had like a decent year last year, but like I was talking to Brandon Thorne about him, and he's like, and I'm like, yeah, he was just like a 1-year wonder. He goes, Brandon was like, I didn't even think he was that good last year. I'm like, all right, I'll trust your opinion on that. But he was shocked. When it's one of the biggest advocates for offensive line is like, damn, dude, that guy got overpaid. I'm like, okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here? So, yeah, I mean, the other two guys, Eric Stokes, he's an outside corner, but he is what I would say a Pete Carroll corner. He's 6'1", 194. I gotta look at
Can run.
Can run.
Yeah.
Pull up this dude's mock draftable here. See how the arm length. Yeah, 32-inch arms.
Okay. Yeah, makes a lot more sense. Yeah, with Stokes, you're taking on a flyer on a guy finally living up to his potential.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in Green Bay, it was getting ugly. Part of it was injuries. Like in his second and third years, he like barely saw the field, and I think he had like multiple injuries in that span. And this past year was actually the first year he played a full 17-game slate, but he only had 7 starts. And let me tell you, he was healthy, and the Packers kept searching for corners to paint a little bit of a picture for you.
Yeah.
Reason why he was cheap. But again, a dude that had plenty of potential coming out of Georgia. So for a 4-year or for a 1 year, $4 million contract, hey, see if he can work out. I get that.
Yeah, in 2022, second year, he had 25 targets and 21 catches. Good Lord, he's getting
in like 6 games, right?
Yeah, he was getting just that's embarrassing. I'm sorry, no lie. That's a 84% playing outside corner, have an 84% completion percentage, dog. 13 yards per reception.
He's over 50% in his career, right? If I remember correctly.
For
completion percentage allowed?
No, 59.8 because his first year he was 51%.
No, okay.
So
he's almost 60% for his career.
59.8, yeah. And then last year he was 61.1. So he was 54 targets, 33 receptions. He gave up 3 touchdowns. Did not have an interception. I mean, that's what's about him coming out of college. He had no ball skills, and that's kind of showed. He has 1 interception so far in his career. So his ball skills are something that was always missing for me when I broke him down. Because, I forgot who he came out with. Who's the other corner for Georgia when he came out? It was some other dude was really good. I can't forget who it was off the top of my head. But those 2 guys were on that one of those national championship teams, I believe. Or I could be wrong. I'm probably going back too far. But I forgot who the other guy was that played with him. But that was the thing about him is that people felt like that maybe he might be the better cover corner, but the other guy had the better ball skills. So, yeah. That's my thing with Eric Stokes. It's like,
Tyson Campbell.
There it is. Tyson Campbell. Boom. Big STD came up right where you got it. Yeah, Tyson Campbell. It was like, Tyson Campbell might be the better, ball hawk or whatever, but Eric Stokes, he can really cover. And that was like the buzz, and that's how he got up in the first round. Was he had good film, but the ball skills are just, and that's so key to being a corner too. Like, that's what I would say. Like, if a guy has ball skills and he can, get some turnovers, you could take a little bit of him missing coverage. But if he can just,
it's got to be one or the other.
You can't play, bro. Like you can make plays and you get torched. You can't play, dog. But look at some of Eric Stokes' grades. I guess he did have some good games. He had a good game against Geno Smith. Maybe that's why they signed him in Seattle. Maybe that's the game that Pete Carroll watched. He had 5 targets, 2 catches. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the game he was checking out. He's like, oh, this guy's not that bad. And he had a good game against New Orleans. So he kind of played better, but then they just stopped playing him. They didn't play him in the playoffs at all. They were like the last couple of games.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not playing anymore. But
they've moved Keyshawn Nixon outside to cover him because Jair Alexander was out for like the entire second half of the year too. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Lonnie Johnson is he's playing special teams, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But yeah. This is definitely a guy that Pete Carroll wanted the draft. He's like, damn it, I didn't get to draft this guy. Let me just go ahead and sign him. 32-inch arms, 6'1", 4'3", you know what I mean? Like, it's just this dude has a serious athletic profile. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's that's been the common theme with all these dudes, except I don't know what Roberts looks like, but they're all like really good athletes. They all tested really well at the combine. So maybe we need to go back and look at those combine results and find the best testers and might have an idea of who they're going to draft.
Yeah, for sure, dude. All right, let's get some of these questions, man, because we're doing this live. Hopefully, we get something more exciting for you. You can do another live for you guys this week with some more exciting stuff. No offense to Eric Stokes or anything like that, or Jeremy Chinn. It's just Christian Wilkins was just a lot better last year. Just like, oh, we got Christian Wilkins. I think we did the same day show that one.
Yeah,
on the same day live, bro. This is where we're like waiting. I was like waiting for something yesterday to get like maybe we can go live off something they give us later on, and I was like, oh, Jeremy Chinn, like that's not live enough.
That's not live worthy. Re-signing Malcolm Kuntz was the biggest live worthy.
Live Jeremy Chinn reaction. Sorry, man. It didn't work. All right. Wonder what our cap is gonna look like after Geno signing. They got to do the signing first. We got to see how that goes.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna go.
Like I said, I can't imagine the extensions much more than 2 years. Maybe they throw on a dummy year, that phony year where there's like no guaranteed money to make it look better for the agent. But I don't see. I would not make sense to me to bring in a 34-year-old. And again, I've been watching some Geno tape, and it's nice. He's a big upgrade over what they've had over the last few years.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine you're going to legitimately like give a massive extension with a lot of years attached to a 34-year-old quarterback who turns 35 in October.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's probably going to be, isn't the sweet spot right now like $40 million a year? Like for him, I feel like that's the number I've seen that floated around.
Yeah, it's 40. I mean, because the thing 45. Is, Sam Darnold got 33, so Sam Darnold kind of got underpaid a little bit.
I was gonna say, we're talking about all the big money. Sam Darnold came in way under expectations, I feel like. But
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That
if you're the Raiders, that you're happy about that because that helps your contract negotiations out with Geno, and like this was your biggest competition on the market, and he signed for 33. Again, 40, which sounds like a lot of money, but I don't have the numbers up with me right now. But I bet we willing to bet is probably close to like 15th highest paid quarterback at this stage.
Yeah.
Like that's just the going rate for a good starting quarterback. So again, yeah, I feel like 40 might be the sweet spot for him. We'll see what he gets.
Can we talk about how Gardner Minshew set the backup quarterback market, man? Or Gardner Minshew out here resetting the backup quarterback market, the spot starter market last year with his $12 million, and then now Justin Fields and Daniel Jones getting 17. You got to pay me more than Minshew. Shout out Gardner Minshew there, resetting the backup spot starter market.
The get me over veteran.
The get me over veteran market.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew, man, he's a trendsetter. All right.
By the way, Raiders at OTC per OTC are at 40.4 million right now.
Okay.
I don't know if that includes Geno's or not. I think it might, but again, when they extend them, they can move the money around, get the funny money in the contract and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. SpyTech's passing is going to be a trend or just an outcome of a weak overpaid free agent class?
I think it would probably be a little bit more of a trend because with Tampa Bay, they were like, and he's even said this, they were a draft and develop type of organization, except at quarterback, which if we look at the way the Raiders are operating this year or this offseason, that's literally like gone to the T, like we were just saying. Like they're positioning themselves to to spend a ton of draft picks on their defense and rebuild through the draft. While acquiring a veteran quarterback who we're talking about getting $40 million a year. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like that's just how he operates. That being said, when they do get a homegrown talent, like they pay him. You look at like Vita Vea, he got paid by the Bucks. Antoine Winfield got paid. I mean, they have a history. I mean, they just took care of Chris Godwin. Mike Evans has gotten paid. Like when they get someone good, they will, or when the Bucks have gotten someone good in the past, they take care of their own. But they're not like, from what off the top of my head, they're not like huge spenders in free agency typically. And I think you're seeing SpyTech follow that same model so far in his first offseason.
Okay. All right. Um, yeah, it's interesting because I just think that they're not trying to push for some of the guys that they didn't have here, and I don't think they're trying to overpay for the free agent class. I just think that I think next year might be a little different. I don't have that feeling because I mean I get it. I mean, do you really want to pay Will Freeze 17 million? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I kind of get it, but it can be frustrating here. I think you gotta talk about is Geo contract not being done. What does one have to do with the other?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
That's a good question.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, unfortunately, you're talking to the wrong two guys. That's a question for John and Pete. I mean, it could be a holdup because they don't want to like overextend themselves cap wise. But again, they still have. I mean, they have 40 million. They have 40.4 million. And let me see if I can figure out if that's with Geno on the books. Yeah, and that's with Geno on the books. That's with Geno counting for 31 million. So if you bump him up, like we're saying, to 41, call it even 10, you still have $30 million to spend if you want to.
Okay. Interesting. Do you guys know this is a free agent strategy similar to when Pete took over the Seahawks? So, remember Pete signed the most players ever the first offseason with almost all short deals. I saw a tweet about that. Him signing like some of his best signings were really like 1 year deal type of guys, and they really signed nobody to huge deals. But I'm trying to remember. It's one of those things where you can't. I'm not the just following the Seahawks all the time, so it's like you're trying to remember like the Seahawks free agent spending, those type of things. But I don't know because go ahead.
I was just gonna say for me, like I was in like high school when when Pete took the Seahawks job, so I can't say I was keeping up as much with the inner working of the Seahawks front office when Pete Carroll took over.
Yeah, so I'm just going to use 2017 here as an example. They Luke Schokel, I mean Diamontre Moore, Nico Thorpe, Eddie Lacy, John Jenkins.
There you go. John Jenkins. God damn, that guy was around for a long time.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I don't see a big name on here. So, I mean, I don't see a big name here. We'll just do 2016 for fun here. Like when the Legion of Boom was falling apart.
I feel like Seattle is another team that like they'll pay their homegrown guys, but they've never been like huge spenders in free agency. I mean, they did it with Draymond Jones a few years ago, but that obviously didn't work out. They just got rid of Draymond before his contract even came up. So,
yeah. Brandon Mebane. That's about it. Jeremy Lane.
Yeah.
J.R. Swizzy. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are onto something.
Yeah. And if you remember, like those Seahawks teams, especially defensively, they were built with mid-round picks for the most part. I mean, Chancellor was a 3rd round guy. Sherm was a 5th round guy. Who's the dude from the corner? Brandon Browner was a mid-round guy, if I remember correctly, maybe 2nd round at best. That Byron Maxwell. I mean, he ended up being like was he even drafted? I don't remember, but
I think they drafted him too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, was he undrafted though? And he ended up bossing. But yeah, point being, they usually they built their team off of hitting off mid-round picks and hitting pretty damn well.
Mm-hmm. And they still did. They did that all the way through the end of his tenure. With the corner from UTEP. I can't think of his name.
Reek Woolen.
Yeah.
And Witherspoon.
Mm-hmm. Well, Reek Woolen was a ticket to the 5th round, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And Witherspoon was a 1st round guy.
Yeah. Right. Could be saving for Beckham or Cup. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Becton was primarily, I think, exclusively a right guard, right? Which is what Alex Capo exclusively was.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we've gone over throughout the years, Dylan Parham seems to be way better at right guard. So I think they got that position right now covered.
Yeah, I think a lot of Raiders fans think they're going to replace Parham, but if you look
But
at
right,
if
but
you
I'm
look,
just thinking,
look
I agree with that, but I think the replacement's going to be out cap. Not
yeah,
saying that that's a great replacement, but that's the guy they've already brought in. It's kind of
yeah,
weird on that.
yeah, I agree with that. I think that Parham played really well before he got hurt, so I think that might play a factor into how the team might feel about him because he did, man. He played. He was
He started the year well. Yeah.
he was fantastic for 4 weeks, and then he got hurt, and then it was like, ooh, and it kind of looked a little funny from there. But he looked real comfortable the first 4 weeks before he got hurt. So I think they might be a little bit higher on Parham than I would say fans are. So that might be why they're not making any moves at guard like that, or just want to pay Becton. But because if you pay because to me, you sign Becton, he's going to start. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you may think he's going to have a left guard, but back to go from left tackle to right guard to left guard. I just feel like that might not work. So, what's your opinion on the wear and tear on Ashton Jeanty already has? I think it's a little overrated sometimes. But
I don't know. It's a concern with me just because he took so many. Like Ashton Jeanty was like really great after contact. The problem is he took a lot of contact. Like that offensive line at Boise State was not great. There's a reason why Ashton Jeanty was the leading rusher in the country by like a mile, and we're not talking about a ton of Boise State offensive linemen getting drafted. So that worries me a little bit. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a huge fan of them taking Jeanty at 6.
I'm not. Think there's a lot. I just don't think he's good enough to be taken there.
Oh, okay, spicy. I like it.
By
the way, Meredith also got a new deal. He was an exclusive rights free agent, so he also is back, and he played really well last year.
Yeah. All right. Are we getting a few? Yeah, we got 2 6th-round picks
this year. Is he talking about next year?
He's talking about this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What did Sanjit retweet about Geno? Did I miss something?
I don't know. Should we go to Sanjit's Twitter?
Sure. I don't know. You do that bad while I post some of these questions. Are there any third round running backs better than Sincere or Lobby? I was gonna laugh at that. Maybe that's Sincere. I mean, I like Sincere and Corey, but Dylan Lobby did play all the running backs around. So let's talk about that in a second. They had no more running backs, so he still wasn't playing.
Yeah, they signed some dude off the street, and
some random. I have no idea who he was. Why didn't they sign a running back? I don't know. Because they're probably going to draft one. I mean, I'll tell you, they looked at 8 running backs at the combine, 6 safeties, and they let both the slot corner go. I don't know. They looked at a bunch of corners. Looking at Rascal, maybe they see something in Mari Burner and Tommy Eichenberg. Maybe.
Eichenberg tested at the combine.
He didn't? Probably not.
I don't think so.
I mean, Bernie has athletic ability, but
yeah.
I mean, Bernie played
Bernie's
last year.
Yeah, Bernie was actually kind of surprising to me last year. He actually had a few good moments. He actually started taking snaps away from Diablo towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But he's another good athlete, another former safety. By the way, Sanjit just tweeted hit Jeremy Chinn land some wood, and that's what Geno retweeted.
Oh, Geno Smith did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where was that? Would you consider any of those guys game changers? I think he's talking about Morag and Spillane. So I mean, Morag more than Spillane.
Yeah. Merrick to me, especially with how he came on playing in the box in the second half of last season, like he was a game changer to me. He ended up being their best defensive player last season.
All right, no news on Michael Mayer yet. No, Michael Mayer probably he's surviving. I guess nobody wanted him.
Wasn't it like wasn't the report more of like they were getting calls and like just fielding them versus like them actually shopping them, or do I have that backwards?
I think. See, I saw 2 different reports. One report said they were shopping him, but Vinny said their teams were asking them.
Gotcha.
So
That's
it
okay. I saw Vinny's tweet, so that's what it was.
it's both like shopping. He's like they're asking. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of both of them, man. It was kind of both of them. So both sides of that. I don't know. Overall, this is a weak free agent class. Yes, that's what I remember when I started doing the free agent thing with Glenn a couple weeks ago. I was like, I started going over the players. I was like, this is gross. So I thought, I was like I don't know who they're gonna sign. That's gonna be like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Do you see any free agent alignment coming in? I mean, I think they gotta add some depth there. So we'll see. Probably some cheaper guys. Tevin Jenkins at guard. See, I just think you guys are sleeping on Parham. I just think, I just think they like Parham.
Pounding the table.
I'm not pounding it. I mean, personally, I just think that he is such like a steady guy that I think teams would be higher on him than I would say fans are, because also, like I said, he played really well to start the year last year. So I don't know. That's what I'm learning here too, a little bit.
I was a big fan of Tevin Jenkins coming out of Oklahoma State. I loved his game, and I think he's been like when he's on the field, I feel like he's been a good player for the Bears. But the problem is he's struggled to stay on the field. Literally came into the league injured with a bad back. So I think that's part of the reason why we haven't heard any news with him. And the Bears were willing to pay like $100 million on their interior offensive line rather than re-sign Jenkins. But yeah, I've always liked his game. He's a nasty dude in the running game.
Yeah, very true. What else we got here? Najee Harris with the shot? I mean, no. I mean, I was very happy. I mean, he didn't get any money. I was like, God damn, Najee.
Yeah, I thought I figured he would get he'd get at least a multi-year deal, not a 1 year. Like it's like half guaranteed, half not, right? Something like that, if I remember. Like it's like 4.5. It's $9 million, but 4.5 guaranteed or something like that. That was nuts. I thought he'd get a little more money than that.
He got nothing, man. That's crazy. Okay, so question. Any chance they're going lighter on linebackers and loading up on safeties, playing more safeties in the box, sprinkled in with linebackers?
I mean, they played with two linebackers for most of the year, or for majority of the time that Graham has been there. Like nickel is their base, and base is their sub package. So I mean, I wouldn't really say they're loading up on safeties unless we're including Lonnie Johnson in that too. But again, Lonnie Johnson at this point in his career is a special teams guy. So I guess yes, but they do still need at least one more starting linebacker, because they do still start two.
Yeah. How much? Yeah, we went over this a little bit. Keenan Allen. Do you play with Dan Fouts?
Maybe.
He kind of did. Is Asante Samuel Jr. worth a look?
I'm surprised he hasn't signed yet. I would take him.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy with ball skills? That's Asante Samuel Jr.
He can play, man. He can play.
Like, I feel like if he did, like, because he played like 4 games and was out for the rest of the year. I feel like if he would have played more, we would have been talking a lot more about him being one of the top corners in this year's free agent class. I've always been a big fan of his game, and I mean, I thought he's a pretty damn good player with the Chargers. There's that playoff game he had 3 picks in, the one that they lost to the Jags in the that comeback. But yeah, I would love it if they brought in Samuel. That would start getting me really excited about free agency. That's how much I like that dude.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, forgot about Trey Taylor, man. We're Trey Taylor hitters over here. Even I was a big Trey Taylor guy, but we'll see what he could do. But I don't know. The way they're looking at safeties, if I was Trey Taylor, I'd be
he's starting right now.
I'd be a little worried. I don't know who's that. I think he's talking about what's his name? Eric Stokes. Is Nick Chubb worth a look? I mean, at this point, why not?
I don't know what does he have left in those knees, but
I mean, if Najee Harris is getting $5 million, man, I don't know what is Nick Chubb gonna get. I mean, he can get 5 too. I'll take Nick Chubb for 1 year, $5 million. Matt, I'm sorry, I would. Why not? If he gets hurt, then
1 year, $5 million. Yeah, I trust me, I would love Nick Chubb on the team. It's just, again, I am very curious about those knees. Hasn't he had a couple? I feel like he's had a few like serious injuries, or like 2 serious injuries recently.
He played the whole year last year, didn't he? Or did he get hurt last year too?
No, he got hurt last year. I'm pretty sure. I think last year was the year. Let's see. And he's approaching that magic number of 30.
He's 29. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What do you think of the possibility of them trading down from 6? Talk about that a little bit. I think that's going to be something that's going to happen.
Yeah. By the way, sorry. Side note: Chubb's played 10 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah. So that's 1 year, $3 million Chubb with incentives. It's a 1 year, $15 million contract, but it's really just $4 million.
You get $500,000 for every game you play.
We'll make it look nice for you, bro. We'll make it like 1 year, $16 million. We'll make it look really nice for you, Nick. But it's all incentives. You see the trading back and drafted Umawari. I think you guys should watch. I need to do a breakdown of Umawari. Matt, I suggest that because he can't tackle. So before we get into like, should we trade back for when? Are we trading back in the second round? What round are we trading back in? I like my safeties to be able to tackle first. I don't care how you move. He's fluid. He's moving all the fluid, but you just like just slip it everywhere. 4 or 5 to No.
That's the other thing I've heard about him. If they drafted Imanori, they would legitimately have like the biggest safety room I think I've ever seen in my life, because you'd have 6'4" Paulo, who again is skinny, but I mean 6'4", 6'4". Jeremy Chinn, who I think 6'3", like 215. And Imanori is 6'3", 220. That'd be some massive dudes. So I think I would think a guy like Starks would be fit a little bit more what they need in that like free safety type of role, versus like a guy like Imanari, who's a freak and could probably line up at free safety if he really wanted to. But he seems like a guy that's probably best in the playing in the box. But yeah, I have heard the tackling issues with him are a problem. He's one of those guys that's an athletic freak, not quite 100% a football player at this stage, but
that's the thing. That's the first thing that stood to me. I'm feeling like, oh man, he can already cover. Free safety's first thing you do is a guy breaks if there's a long run, I need you to stop the long run.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he could do that.
The reason why the position's called safety.
And like one time, like somebody beat him to the corner, so like that tells you just he has bad ankles too. Like, don't you run a 4-3? How do you beat you to the corner? That's a bad angle.
Yeah,
it was just bad tackling. He plays outside. He doesn't play inside. I mean, that could be an option, sneaky guy, but I think they brought in Eric Stokes for that kind of type of thing. Yeah, I think it was. Let's get to more questions for you. How much of a big scheme change will it be, or does Pete and PG run some similar stuff?
I mean, I think it's going to be PG's defense.
Yeah,
that is the one thing about Pat Graham. Like, and he's talked about this when he got the job. Like, he's never really like pigeonholed himself into one scheme. He tries to adapt to what he has in his skill set. So maybe there's going to be a little bit more. Maybe it'll look a little bit more different. A little more different. I will say the Raiders' defense kind of has changed from year to year. Part of that was due to the injuries in the back end. They seem to always be getting banged up at corner, where they just have to like. I remember Graham's like first year there, they ran a ton of man. Everyone thought, oh, Patrick Graham's this press man guy. I'm like, not really. It's just when you're signing guys off the street, you can't really put in many zone concepts because you just got to line up and play at that point. And then the year before they went more zone and kind of been there for the majority of it. Although they did end up running a good amount of man at the end of last year too. So
yeah, because
kind of adapts.
Kind of answer this question too. I think it's going to be Patrick Graham's scheme with Pete Carroll's philosophy, if that makes sense. So like his philosophy of defense, of how what they want to do in certain areas, and but it's going to be Patrick Graham's like scheme itself, because he has a more updated scheme than Pete Carroll does, and Carroll's that's why he probably kept him, so he can keep that too high type of thing that they like to do. Patrick Graham does run a lot of cover 3 stuff that Pete Carroll likes, so I think it's gonna be like a philosophy thing. It's like on offense, I think it's gonna be the same way. It's gonna be Pete Carroll's, Chip Kelly's scheme, but it's Pete Carroll's philosophy. So like they're just running the football and stuff like that. So,
and Pete, I think you were the one who pointed this out too. Pete became more of like a Fangio guy. Not obviously he's not a Fangio guy, but he brought in like Fangio type people towards the end of his time in Seattle. Like he started going away from the straight just cover 3 all game type of looks.
Exactly. Jahdae Barron at 6. It's a possibility. I like Barron a lot.
At 6?
I don't know about 6 though. Because I don't know
Those
about Will
little
Johnson
arms,
at
man.
6. You know what I mean? Like,
Really? I'd take Will Johnson 6, but
yeah.
I like the next game.
I mean, him and Barron are really close for me.
Okay. Okay.
Like, they're like, you know, I'm gonna have to do some deliberating with myself, or even might have to do a session with BD to figure to separate them. I might be like, BD, you got to help me separate these two, and then, you know, get a second opinion in there for BD, because they're just like, Barron is more versatile, but like Johnson, it's hard. That's where I get hard. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, they both can tackle. I could probably both play them in the slot if I really wanted to. I could do those things, and Barron's just like a little bit more athletic. So,
yeah,
you know, it's tough. I was pretty shocked. I was shocked how good Barron's film was, man. His film is pretty damn good, bro. It is. How much input do you think Patrick Graham had in free agency? Probably, I don't know. Probably good, just as much as he had before.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he would have pounded the table for the guys that he's been coaching the last few years, especially a guy like Spillane, who Spillane, if I remember correctly, wore the green dot. So maybe not a ton, but yeah. Getting kind of low on the totem pole with him.
Oh yeah, with Travis Hunter. Yeah, come on, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, you know, I think Travis Hunter has some moments where he was definitely trying to play offense and defense on the field, where he's just kind of like just chilling because he's got to play offense later on. I think if you put him at corner and you're like focus on that, I think he'll be good.
Yeah.
I mean, you better find a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Answer that question. You know,
I think.
Does he make the team? Let's talk about that.
I don't even know. Weren't there talks about them like maybe trying to get rid of him and offload him? Like he might be a guy that. Yeah, and I don't literally like I don't think you'd get a conditional 7th. Like you might get a conditional 7th for him, like that type of deal. His stock is low.
Yeah. Can you build that? Matthew's trolling over here. Is Barron a ball hog like Johnson? No, that's the thing. That would probably be the difference, I would say. And you know, BBW Joyer is asking, can you really take a nickel at 6? But see, that's my thing. I feel like Will Johnson is better inside, and you can move him around. And so, I mean, that's my thing. So it's like, what is a nickel? I mean, are you taking like a 5'9", 185 guy? No, but I think you're taking a guy who could play inside and outside. He could move him around a little bit and be versatile with the cornerback position. So I think this Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron both give me those vibes. Like Will Johnson, you can move him inside on 3rd down or something, or whatever you want to do. He can play outside for a 2nd down. They both can tackle. They're just versatile guys. So it's gonna be hard to, you know.
And to your point, I mean, one of Pete Carroll's last picks, Devin Witherspoon, was picked at 5. And like he plays both. Like you're talking about, he can kind of play both. Like when they go into base, like their base personnel, he'll move back outside, but he is like primarily a nickel. Generally speaking, I wouldn't do it because it's, again, like you're talking about, usually not like a great starting role. But if you get a guy that can play outside and like he's just better at playing nickel, I don't think there's a huge problem with it. But I think Barron, just from what I know right now, I think Barron would probably be a reach at 6.
Yeah.
Just from seeing it.
All right. How much impact? We'll see with that, with the Bernie and those guys, because I want to see what they do in the draft at linebacker. Then we'll be able to answer that question, because people ask about Eckerberg too. What's my last one? I'll look at late round QBs. I don't know. Besides Howard, I don't know at this point. I don't know, can they afford to draft a late round QB at this point? That's what I'm saying. Like if they don't, I don't know.
I mean, I still think if you want to go after a Milrow, like this would not be a bad situation for him, where you get a couple years to clean up his feet and clean up his mechanics and maybe get that accuracy more consistent. Maybe.
We'll see, man. Is Shallow Sanders that bad to not get invited to the combine? I mean, don't
You
watch
want
him
to talk about
Kansas.
it? You want to talk about a safety that can't tackle?
Don't watch him. Devin Neal baptized Shallow Sanders. That was the whole film was basically Shallow Sanders trying to tackle Devin Neal and Devin Neal running for 160 yards. DJ Giddens too. You want to watch some great DJ Giddens film? Go watch him against Colorado and Shallow Sanders just whiffing just every time he just goes to tackle. So, all right. We're going along here. Too many questions here. Yeah, you guys all right, guys. I'm sorry I didn't get to all your questions because like wide receiver room. I mean, I kind of like it. Kasir White. I don't know. I hope not. Have to take Dart or Word. Have to take Dart or Word or Sanders at 6. Dart at 6 makes me have a heart attack. I might pass. If you guys want to see a terrible reaction of the July draft, you want to see me pass out. Maybe. All right, this last question I got here because I can't take the Jackson Dart. Where y'all think Aaron and Russ land?
I kind of feel like Russ goes back to Pittsburgh because I think they realize they're probably not going to do much better than him, especially after Fields bolted. I don't know. I'm rooting for Aaron Rodgers to do the full Favre and go to Minnesota. That'd just be
that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. It's just hilarious to me. But
I feel bad for JJ because Kevin Conner wants to keep winning. He's like, I don't know if you can win right now though. You're gonna go like 7-10 or something, and I really don't want to do that right now. All right. All right, guys, we're out of here. We got almost 1,000. Got 950 in here. It's a good show, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming and joining. Go check out the draft episodes and the free agent Geno Smith breakdowns. Got all that good stuff going. Check out all those episodes, guys, and hopefully we'll be back in a couple of days or something with some cooler signings. I know this was mostly questions this time. It was just basically a live Q&A we did today. So, but we'll be back. Hopefully we get some more to talk about. A little bit later on, or we'll be back to the draft by like Sunday. So, we'll do some free agent breakdowns. A couple of these guys, hopefully, if we get some more guys here. But definitely check out the rest of the draft stuff and some of the free agency stuff we did this past weekend. And we're out of here. Peace, guys.
Peace.